welcome back from that awesome interview. So if you're wondering, you want to look a little bit more into the Little Warriors website, you can type !info in chat to get a link to that. Then, of course, the whole point, we are here supporting Little Warriors today. You want to type !donate in chat. So you're going to go to that link, you're going to press donate now, fill in your information. You can even donate anonymously if you want. And then this is an important part. I want to make sure don't click just donate. Instead, if you click next, you will be taken to the targets and polls we have. So those are incentives. And we already have incentives open. In fact, the very first run today, as an incentive, if we can reach 15 Canadian dollars before the run is over, we can get a bonus run, about 10 minutes of tanks, 1 player, 2 controllers, which is just going to be fun. We're going to get to see one of the mini games from We Play, and it has its own unique strategies, risks. It'll be super fun. So again, !donate in chat. You'd click donate now, fill in your information, and then make sure to go to next and select both a target and a poll. And with that, we do have one donation already from Anonymous for 1 Canadian dollar that just says testing. Thank you so much for that donation. And with that, I think we are ready to get this marathon going for a great run. We are starting with SMM MIDI, sorry, too many M's, playing We Play. Go ahead.
All right, thanks so much. Hi, I'm SM MIDI. I speedrun lots of different games, mostly Mario, but also a little bit of toy tank games. And this is the first one that I sort of get started with. We Play. As we were just mentioning, there is tanks in this game, and that is what the incentive is based on. So this is Platinum Medals. This is actually its first ever marathon run. This is not where timing starts, by the way. We're going to start on start over because it saves a couple of seconds. Got to save seconds where we can. So we're going to get all 9 Platinum Medals, hopefully. We're starting off with billiards. Hopefully we can get out of this fairly soon. So I will give a countdown. 3, 2, 1, go. So this is billiards to start off with. This is the most reset heavy and right on cue. We are instantly in the pocket. So essentially, this is the main thing. When I first started submitting this to marathons this year, I thought I'm gonna start submitting gold medals because I am more confident with that and it is just a lot more safe. But Plats shows off a lot more of the game in everything but billiards, basically. Please go in. That's a 4 break. Okay, very good. Very, very good start. So the break shot is what we really want to get a good shot for. Everything else does matter as well, obviously. But the break is the most important. If we can get a good shot there, then that is fantastic. So basically, this doesn't follow regular billiards rules. What we actually have to do is we can get fouls, so I'm actually going to hit the 9 here. The 5 is in a terrible position. So because we got a 4 break, I can actually suffer one foul or 1 extra shot. So we only have 7 shots to get the platinum medal. Now this is going to be a little difficult because the 8 ball is over the pocket. I have not anticipated this. We're going to take a little bit of time lining this up. We're going to hope that goes in. Oh, it doesn't. Okay, so we do have 1 more chance, and that is to hit both and hope that they go in. That is literally the only thing I can do now, and we got a foul, so that's going to be it, sadly. That's unfortunate. That is on me, really. So I'm hoping we get out of billiards within about 10 minutes. If we don't, then what we're going to do is we are going to move on to other games, and then if there's time at the end, then we will finish it off there. So this is pretty much the main game that I'm working on to try and make it a little bit more consistent, because this is just, or at least for marathons anyway, just for a consistent exit. Not necessarily a fast exit, but just an exit. Because it's pretty difficult to get runs going, but hopefully we can get at least another 3 break. So essentially there are 9 balls, so as long as we get 3 at the beginning and then an average of 1 every other shot, then that is pretty much the average we need. It is possible though to get more than 1 in other shots, so some of my best runs have had, say, only 2 or 3 in the break shot, and then there's been 3 in 1 from there. Those have also been quite good. Okay, so I only got 2 there, but the 3 and the 8 are quite well lined up. So I might continue this just to see what we can get going. I don't think we're going to be able to do too much because the 3 is kind of blocked with the 8 there. So if we try and hit, so that looks like that's going to go in from there. And then if we just do a really high power shot. So we did hit the 7, not too much going on from that. So the best thing I can hope for here, now I'm still 1 behind, is just to hit as many balls as possible in 1 shot and hope that we get something good. So there I hit the 8 as well. Didn't go in that pocket, sadly. I think I'm just going to restart this because now we're 2 behind. But yeah, that is pretty much the premise of billiards. Billiards is a very, very quick game. It can be done in about a minute. My PB does this in 57 seconds, and that's including the medal cutscene. So yeah, it can be pretty rough to get runs going. Yeah, welcome on in, everyone. Hopefully we will get out of this as soon as we can. I may move on. Yeah, I'll definitely move on within 10 minutes if we can't get out. So there is only a 1 break, but there are lots that are close together there. So if I press A, we actually get a top-down view of the table, so I can do that. We get 2 balls in, and 1 ball didn't quite go in the middle. That would have been pretty cool. That would have put us on pace. So we are still 1 behind, though, I believe. Yes, we're still 1 behind. So again, 7 shots and fouls combined to get through this. And technically the reason I'm starting with billiards as well is because if I do get a run going and then by some miracle it ends up getting world record or a PB, then it would take away all of the billiards resets because this is where the run starts. It is worth noting, if it wasn't already obvious enough, I've basically done a little list of all of the game orders that people do because you can play the games in any order in medal runs in this game. And 100% of the runs start with billiards, apart from runs that were on tournaments. So there's like the Wii Series League, where people had to play the games in order just to make it consistent for a race. Cue ball straight in the pocket. Homing in on the pocket there. Okay, what we're going to do then is we're going to do a shot that hits the 5 and then hopefully combos into the 8 as well. Didn't quite manage that, but the 9 looks like it's going in. So we're still 1 behind here, just to note. So this is not ideal. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this. We're going to do a bit of topspin just so we end up in a different position. Now this is not fast. This would not be a fast billiards, but just to try and get out, we are trying as many different things as we can. So if I literally just tilt my head to try and figure out if that's a good angle. If I do side spin, that might work. So no, not quite. So the ball, if you do really fast shots or different spin than just hitting it in the middle, then you also kind of get weird interactions in this game. The game just doesn't really deal with physics very well, which doesn't really work when it's literally billiards.
So can I ask, like, what are, obviously, like, we see you aiming, so it's where you hit on the ball and then also how hard you hit?
Yeah, so good thing to mention, yeah. So, most of this game involves pointer controls, but with some of the games, so especially billiards, I'm using motion. So I'm doing a little bit of a swing, or quite a lot of a swing to get a high power shot. And that is essentially the reason why it's so inconsistent, because the Wii has so many different factors that come into it with emotion. You've got sort of, like, basically any different motion you just won't be able to replicate. And the best break that's ever been achieved in this game is 7 in a single shot. That's been achieved 3 times now. And funnily enough, everyone that has achieved a 7 break has done something different with their run. It kind of depends on where the final balls end up. I got really lucky with the one that I got, and it ended up becoming a really, really good bronze medals run. Now, I'm not convinced that's going in. Yeah. So that's fine. We can try again. Really, the main thing is just to get as many attempts in as we can with this. I do have a timer, though. It looks like we are coming towards 10 minutes, so we will move on to the next game if we can't get out. 7 ball is going to go in there, so we do have another 3 break, but it looks like the cue ball... Yeah, so the target ball next is the blue one, because that's the 2. Following normal billiards rules, it's pretty much just whichever numbered ball is next. Yeah, not getting too much out of that. There wasn't really much I could do there. That's okay. So, again, this doesn't work too well, because if I do a shot that barely hits the 2, it's probably not going to go where I want it to, because of just how the game works. If you hit a ball and you just barely scrape past it, it will count as a hit, so you don't get a foul, but it doesn't really go very far, or even in the right direction. So yeah, I think pretty much that is it with billiards. There is a 2-player mode in this game, which makes it function a lot more like regular billiards. Another thing to note, though, is that it doesn't end when the 9 ball goes in. I'm not sure if the 9 ball probably has gone in at least once, and the game just hasn't ended. Nintendo does know how to make a billiards game, by the way. Clubhouse Games, which is on DS, which predates this, and also Switch, which is after this, both have it end after the 9 ball goes in. So you can have a run that gets out of billiards in like 20 seconds. But this game is not that nice. What are we getting here? We're getting another 3 break. So, right, so that pocket is kind of blocked by the 5. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and aim this into the middle. I might be able to hit this into the 7. Not quite, but that's okay. The 2 is in a bad spot. I'm not going to be able to get it in from there. I could try and go for the other pocket, but when you fire and it's right next to a cushion, so the sides of the table, it is not going to behave all of the time. Okay, it did manage to there. That's good. And another thing, if it hits the kind of the jaws of like between each pocket, like it did there, it just goes at a really weird angle. So that's another thing that's happened there. I'm going to have to go for a bank shot here, I think. So literally just rebound it from one cushion to another. Because there's not really an easier way of doing this. Okay, I thought that 9 ball was going to go in. We have just hit 10 minutes. So if I don't get out of here on this attempt, we are going to move on. So let me try and do a little bit more power here just to try and get into a good spot for the 7. And then again, we haven't got a great shot for the 9. We're going to have to do a similar thing that we did for the 2, which is get a little bit lucky. So hopefully that goes in, barely. Okay. We're just going to have to hope the cue ball doesn't go in here. But I'm just crossing my fingers. We'd take our time a little bit for the aim again. And then we're going to do full power. We are out. Okay. Finally. Okay. So this game can be this bad. I've had sessions where I've sat in billiards for a long time. I've got a lot better though. And I can get out with sort of fairly consistent exits. Thankfully, the rest of the game is a little bit more consistent. As we come into fishing, which is a little bit of RNG again. But the thing is with this, it's a little bit more controlled. So all these games are standalone, by the way. So basically every time I enter a game, I'm just explaining a bunch of stuff. So now we get into the bulk of the run. So basically for this, there is another point threshold. So we get the platinum medal. For here, it is 2,600. Which is quite a lot. It is a pretty tall estimate. Now, what I'm going to do, even though it's slightly slower, I am going to catch basically every fish I see that scores points. Because, and we have actually got quite lucky so far, if that is my strat. Because we haven't got any small fry. Basically, there are 6 fish here. 4 of them are regular fish, and then 2 of them are sort of special ones. So exactly, this game is perfect because it has fishing. Unfortunately, it's motion control fishing, so it isn't great. But we vibe with it. It's better than billiards. So basically, we have green, yellow, red, and grey fish. All of them, there can only be a maximum of 2 in the pond, and there can only be a maximum of 5 of those fish in total. All of them have a certain amount of bites, so the reds take 4, and they score the most points out of the regular fish. We also have the bonus fish. So if I... oh, that is zooming around. If I end up catching a fish on bonus, then what happens is we just get double points, and that is really important to hit these point thresholds. So if you actually run out of the that fish type in the pond, it will actually change to another bonus, which is really cool. Looks like we're on enough now. We haven't had any mystery fish, which is interesting. Been quite unlucky. So King of the Pond, this fish only appears once in a run. 11 fish is not too bad. Ironically, that beats my PB. My PB gets 12 because I just wanted to get a run going for the day. The prospect of going back to billiards was not for me. But yeah, that is it. 2600. We get the funny aim the Wii remote the screen text because that's it. And there's the mystery. Mystery spawn in random. You can get anything between 0 and 4 in a game. There was actually a run the other day by the other active runner of this, Murasaki. He managed to get very close to a 6-fish game. And the TAS only gets 5 fish, which is very, very lucky. Basically, there's an invisible timer in fishing. Every time you catch a fish, it pauses for 3 seconds. So there is an incentive to catch less fish. But for a marathon, we're not dealing with any more RNG. We just want to get out. So now we have Find Me. This is actually a game where participation of other people, so chat and stuff like that, is allowed. Basically, what is involved here is... it's kind of like a Where's Waldo kind of game. We want to find the Miis based on the conditions. It's always the same condition, which is nice, but there are some strats to make this a little bit easier because, well, for a start, you're probably seeing why there's so many Miis in my system that are very interesting looking, like a question mark me. That is literally the only purpose of these Miis is just for Find Me. They are on my system all the time. It is only for Find Me that they are on there, but they stay all the time. Now, some people have different strats, some people don't do that. There are other runners that actually have all of the CPU Miis, like the ones you see in Wii Sports and stuff, like Matt and other Miis that are less known, that pretty much fill up the Mii channel. Now, I've not filled up my Mii channel, but even if you do, you still get Miis that you don't have on your system. So some of these Miis in these levels, I don't actually have on my system, but the game just sort of throws at you just to make the game a little bit harder. So for this, we need to complete 80 levels. So it is quite a long segment. Between this, Tanks, and Find Me, these are kind of the biggest time save points in a run. But it is really self-explanatory from there. We do start to get some harder levels, and there are some other things we can explain. So this is the first escalator level. We have these lookalikes. Now, with the escalator levels, you can only have a maximum of 1 per escalator. So pretty much the strat is to search the one with the least Miis, and then, so sometimes there will just be like 1 or 2 Miis, depending on which level it is. And at that point, you can actually just determine a correct Mii from there, really. Like, each escalator has an even chance of having a correct Mii. So, especially on the ones where there are 3 lookalikes, you can actually just search the one with the least, and you will just know that at least one of those will be correct. So another Mii, this is another classic, the basketball. This is one of the newer ones. I actually added more Miis fairly recently when I started doing more Platinum Medals runs, because I am pretty bad at Find Me without this. So we now start to see some dark levels as well, and this is level 20. So this is actually where the, this is where the medal would end if we were doing bronze, and then we'd just be draining our timer on level 21. So we do start to see some more conditions. One of the Miis is sleeping. We need to try and find that Mii. So at this stage, it's kind of a nice time to explain hitbox strat. So hitbox strat is very strange. It's probably the most broken thing in this game. Although saying that, I am going to attempt something that might be even more broken in tanks, which I've been practicing over the last few days, and I'm really hoping I can get it for the marathon. It's not as important as a 10-minute billiards, but yeah, it would still be cool to show off. So, hitbox strat in Find Me, essentially, I'm searching the Miis at the top of the screen, and the Miis that are quite close together, or like cramps together, first. And the reason for that is because the game gives a bigger hitbox for Miis that are, there we go, for Miis that are correct. And kind of the reason for that, I assume, is to kind of stop you from getting kind of soft-locked in the game. Okay, this is Find the Mii you're using. I was looking for the fastest Mii. That is just me not reading. So the hitbox strat helps a lot for levels that have stairs, so this one especially. So what I'm doing is I'm just searching along in a straight line, and then the moment the cursor just stays on one Mii for a really long time, that is probably the correct answer. So even though I don't necessarily know the answer, it just kind of gives it away. So that helped a lot there. It will be very jarring if you can't see it already when we get to some of the later levels. If you still can't see it, then watch a level 99 Find Me IL speedrun. Level 99 is really zoomed out. You will definitely be able to see it there. That is probably the most obvious it gets. So again, searching these escalators with the least Miis, because one of them is definitely correct. Again, same thing here. So, one thing you might notice is that all of the Miis look fairly similar. That is because some of the customization features in the Mii Maker, like heights and weights, they don't come into it. But we can abuse the fact that there are, favorite colors on the system. So, and here, by the way, you can pick any Mii, and we just have to remember that Mii. The favorite colors, as long as you pick a hat or a beanie to put on a Mii, then that will allow you to see that favorite color still, even though the shirts don't sort of carry through, although the pastel colors on the shirts are really nice. Nice, we got the 1 in 8 chance there. So these are the only 2 levels in the game where the odd ones out step either left or right at the beginning. Now, while I'm thinking, I might as well just pick a Mii, and if it's correct, then bingo, we get free time save. And that's exactly what happened. So, there you go. Saves me from thinking for an entire level. And we have some more dark levels. So, this is kind of where hitbox strat is even more useful, because it still works on these levels. But these levels can really drain your time really, really quickly. So, getting good at these, just to make this run consistent, is really, really important. So that is the end of that there. And as you can see, there is a pink hat and a pink beanie. The pink beanie is one of my Miis, but the pink hat isn't. And that's kind of the game throwing similar Miis at me, just to try and make the game harder. We don't really have specifics on that. There's been a lot of research into different mini-games in here recently, but nothing too much known other than just the game likes to do that. Okay, so here, trying to use a bit more hitbox strat to help me. I believe. Okay, where is? Struggling a little bit. Is it?
While you're doing this, how about I read something?
Okay, we're through. But yes, you can read the message, sure. You can read the message.
So we actually got a $20 Canadian dollar donation from Dark Sky. No comment, but that does mean that we are going to get to see that bonus run of tanks, 1 player, 2 controllers. Thank you so much. And just to let everyone know, don't worry, just because that target was met, we now have a new target open for Sonic R, which is a little bit later in the event. If we can reach another 15 Canadian dollars, we can get a New Game Plus no out of bounds run for Sonic R. So go ahead, keep those donations coming, ! Donate.
Alright, excellent. Yeah, definitely get donating if you are within your means. Fantastic charity we're raising money for here today. so we are just over halfway through Find Me. Really, really long game in here. So good that we are still on our 420 seconds. I didn't actually mention that so far, but we have managed to hit the cap of 120 seconds. You can't go any higher than this, and it's kind of a good thing, because if we could, then we would have to drain about, 300, 400 seconds if you played really well at the end of a run here. Because that's what we're going to have to do. The only way the game ends is either if we reach level 99 or if we drain our timer. And it is much faster to just drain your timer. So here, is it Bob Ross? Not Bob Ross. Hitbox Strut I thought was coming out there, but it wasn't quite the case. Okay, so again, this level is really zoomed out at the top of the screen, so Hitbox Strut is quite useful. I know it's this me, but now I need to see the me. There you go. Now it is Bob Ross.
He just wanted you to point him out first, and then...
Exactly. So now, the Mii's are looking either left or right. There is a thing that I can actually do here, where I can just press a bunch of answers, and it will give me a penalty for all of them, 5 seconds for each. But it can be a nice way of kind of using the hitbox strat to your advantage, and sort of just randomly clicking 3 Mii's in wildly different positions. That has helped me, especially in speedruns, where I'm just trying to go through as fast as I can, really. Just to speed up Find Me just that little bit more. There's been so much optimization in Platinum Medals recently that every tiny thing you can do just helps a lot. Have sleepyheads again. Two very close together there. And then we are approaching some more dark levels. There are 3, and they are very sneaky. They end every medal with some dark levels, which is pretty mean. Does mean you can just end a run at this stage if you are not seeing the answer, which I'm not. Okay, there we go. I think I got it. Yes. Have same birthday as Mr. Ross. That is an excellent birthday to share. I don't think there's a better birthday you could share. I think this is B Mario. Yes. So again, that right escalator did not have many Mii's, so had that not been correct, I probably would have searched that one next. And again, very zoomed out level, so I will be searching from the top to start off with. I believe that, no, not quite. Okay. Yes, excellent. So we're through the dark levels again. Hopefully we'll be able to recover a bit more time now. So for some reason, level 61 is just broken. There's a small cooldown. It's not too noticeable unless you've played the game, where you actually can't select any answers at the beginning, which is kind of nice because it does give humans a little bit of an edge over the TAS compared to where we would be otherwise, because I mean, against the TAS, humans just can't compete in this game anyway. Not to any sort of reasonable difficulty of levels. From the beginning, maybe in a bronze medals run where there's only 20 levels, possibly. But there's so much more to do, and so many more Mii's to filter through in these late levels, that the TAS of this run is something like 40 minutes or something ridiculous of platinum medals. Whereas there was actually a community sum of best from a couple of years ago that barely gets sub-hour. It literally cuts off at like 59:58. Well, right now, the world record is 59:52. But that is in part because of a huge skip called Score Skip. So essentially what that is every time we are going to the high score leaderboard, we are seeing scores. Normally, you wouldn't be able to get scores on a profile. And hold on, this is just the level I want to see the answer fairly quickly for. I'm not seeing it. Okay, is that correct? Might be. There are 3 lookalikes here. Okay. Might have just wrapped around the screen again, so it's difficult for me to see. There you go. Yeah, 4 to 3 also doesn't help. because it sort of shrinks the screen. There is a reason we're playing on 4 to 3 though, and we'll get there in a moment. I can't remember my me. That's okay. We have Hitbox Strat to save us. There we go. All the find your favourite levels just blend into one. So, score skip, as I was mentioning, essentially, from a new file, medals aren't able to be unlocked. So you can sort of play Shooting Range, which is the first game in here, which is actually going to be one of the last games we play in the run. And you can get a cracked run, so say you get like 700 points. You're just too good. You're too good at Shooting Range, but you don't get the medal. However, when you complete a game of tanks, which is the 9th game we unlocked, that is the stage you can get medals from. So essentially, you can use that to get high scores on a profile without getting medals, which makes it valid to use for a medal run. This is the only game in the entire Wii series, of all 13 games in the entire series, that has this feature, by the way. Everything else is, it involves some setup, so like Wii Sports, you have to get specific Miis to play against, but you don't need to save your file to an SD card to do that. With this game, you kind of do, because the moment you use the save file and you get a medal, like if I reset now, if I was doing a regular PB attempt, then I would have to set up the score skip all over again, which takes several hours. But yeah, so it is definitely recommended to have a save file for it. But every time, it basically skips a high score animation. As long as we get 5th or worst on the leaderboard, we are saving about 3.1 seconds, which for top runs is completely crucial. Anything that isn't platinum medals only has about a minute or less to save from some of best, which is very, very optimized at this stage. So having a time save that big is just crucial. Okay, I have finally seen the me. So I'm just going to pay attention to the level here. This is level 80. So we need to find 2 odd me's out here. However, I'm not going to do that straight away. It is more optimal if I have found 1 there, that's fine. So I've found the other one, it's this me. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to drain my timer early, because technically it is much faster for me to do it here than it is on the next level. The next level, we need to find 5 lookalikes. So on that one, we were draining our timer for 5 seconds per me. On this one, we have to select 5 me's to drain just 5 seconds. So it's way faster for us to drain on level 80 than it is to then draining on level 81. That also applies to Silver Medal as well. Silver Medal is a similar concept, but it's even more powerful in Platinum. So next up, we have Tanks. Tanks is widely agreed as the best game, and that is objectively true. But what we need to do here in Platinum Medals is we actually need to play it twice. So we have to play 20 missions to get the gold medal, and then the game kind of says mission complete. It even says final mission on mission 20. So you would be it would be a fair assumption when playing casually, if you didn't know, considering this game came out in 2006, that was the end of the game. However, if you play again, you can play up to mission 100. Now, mission 100 runs are quite interesting. It is very interesting to have an hour-long IL on the leaderboards. Because, I mean, I can't think of any other games that have an hour-long IL.
Yeah.
But yeah, 20 missions is all we need here. For Platinum, we then need to play the game again, and we need to play 30 missions. So then, close after, we need to play table tennis. Same thing applies there. For some reason, they locked the game at 100 points, and then you have to play again to do 200. Now, 200 is really, really brutal. That is another point where I might end up resetting the game a couple of times, but there is a strat where we can get past it with pause buffering, so it's not exactly Billiards 2, thankfully. We don't need any more Billiards. So I guess at this stage I'll explain what the individual tanks do. So every tank has a little different special ability. We have brown tanks we've already seen, they don't move. They do fire bullets occasionally. I like to describe those and yellow tanks like Clyde from Pac-Man, because they're so unpredictable with their bullets and things. It actually makes them more annoying, because you're dealing with tanks that are actually hard to deal with, at the same time as a random bullet coming out of nowhere that you just wasn't expecting. We have greys, which also don't fire very often. And we also have teals, which fire rocket bullets. Now, interestingly for the speedrun, greys and teals are defensive. So we are having to deal with the fact that they are going to sit back quite a lot when really we just want to take them out as fast as we can. Whereas yellows, they prioritize mines. So they are geniuses when it comes to mines. We used to think that they're just the worst tank in the game, like almost as bad, or if not worse, than brown tanks. However, that is not the case. The moment you see a mine, or the moment they see a mine, or you place a mine, they retarget on that frame. Which in the category extension seem to be added mines only, where you're not allowed to use bullets. Ridiculous run, by the way, and completely marathon unsafe. My best in that run is 11 missions, and I think only 20 would be theoretically possible. So yeah, not happening, but tanks 1P2C is what we're going to be doing. But yeah, in that run, yellow tanks are a massive pain. But here they're fine, because we can just use bullets. So you might notice as well, we are getting extra lives every 5 missions. That does make this a little bit nicer. So we don't just have 3 lives for the entirety of tanks. That means in 100 missions you get 22. Which still is difficult, because you do start sort of losing lives a lot more later on when you've got a lot more tanks to deal with. But the fact that tanks is so long is kind of the reason why a lot of people, myself included, would never have got anywhere close to completing it. And the fact that there's no level select as well doesn't help. So here I'm actually going to do a little angle to take out these green tanks. They fire rocket bullets and they can actually rebound twice. They are the only tank that has that in the game. So the moment they find an angle on you, they will do it. And they can fire 2 bullets at once. So yeah, they can be a massive pain if you are not familiar with where they are. Thankfully, missions 1 to 20 are all predetermined, so that is a death, unfortunately. But yeah, because they're all predetermined, that is not too bad to deal with. So we kind of have a specific angle, or at least I do, for every green tank that we see. Barely avoiding that one there. So I'm just going to peek out through this little hole. Try and get an extra kill. Excellent. So deaths in gold medal cost a little bit more time. Because the game is going to end the moment we hit mission 20 and we finish it, we don't actually need to see these death screens. However, in the platinum medal, we are going to need to see them, and that is where a little strat known as Tank's Frame Perfect Glitch is going to come in, or Frame Perfect Death, which I'll now probably refer to as FPD if I mention it again. I have never attempted it in a full game run, but I've spent a lot of time practicing it this week, because this is the first kind of implementation of it into runs. There isn't really any more time to be saved in plats other than just having a clean find me, a clean tanks, but that has never sort of been implemented, probably because it's frame perfect. But we will try, we will try. It's nothing too major if we miss it though. So we've now seen purple tanks as well. They have the same loadout as we do, so 5 bullets and 2 mines, and they are also defensive whenever they are, whenever you don't want them to be, and they're also offensive when you don't want them to be. So yeah, that's pretty much it with those. But I actually do like to play this mission from the bottom here. That purple going around the top, which is pretty rare. Normally, if you just cut through the bottom there, they will often just be in the center, which actually makes this mission kind of nice to deal with. Here, we'll just peek through. It makes us have a bit more of an advantage because the tanks aren't really expecting us to just cut through there. The intended way is to go through the top. There is also an angle to hit the green tank from the top if we really want it to. But it is faster to do it that way. And also, at this point, I just prefer that way. So now we have 6 green tanks to deal with. This is a really horrible mission. Again, the fact that there's no mission select in this game makes this horrible. You probably get here with 1 life, casually, and then you just end up gaming over. You have to play all of tanks again, and it just is scary. But as long as you do the same thing every time, which I do fairly slowly, you will be able to get through. So here I like to take out both of those tanks right at the beginning. And what I also haven't mentioned so far, I'm actually firing at the walls quite a lot. And that is because the moment the bullets end up having the little animation where they explode, that means we have that bullet reloaded instantly. So that essentially means I can fire bullets a little bit more often. We can also do direct shots. Sometimes that is also better. So like here, I'd rather just do that. And then here, I'd also do that as well. But when you're going around a corner, it can be nice just to get a few early shots. And also just to play safe as well. So here we now have 8 tanks on a single mission, which is pretty uncommon for these first levels. We only have the mission 19, where we have 8 purples. Very, very mean. But later on, if you did a full run of Tanks 100, you would see some randomized missions where you have 8 tanks to deal with as well, which is, in a way, even more scary, because you don't know which layout's going to come up. And I'll get onto the randomized missions when we get there in the Platinum Medal, because there will be some randomized.
The tank is running. It knows you're going for it.
Yeah, this is what I mean by the purples are just defensive when you just don't want them to be. I have 1 left. No, I'm actually just going to snake through the entire path and make your life difficult. So here we have white tanks. They are invisible, and now they're not, because we took them out. That is pretty much it. You can see their tracks, which is nice. But in an open field, this is, by the way, the only time the open layout appears in the entirety of tanks. Even on the randomized missions, it does not appear, which we only realized recently. But yeah, we are going to play tanks again. These are all the same missions. However, this time, I'm going to focus quickly. Oh, we almost got it. Okay, so that is frame perfect death. Basically, on Platinum, if I take a death on the exact same frame that an enemy tank, specifically the final enemy tank, does, we will lose a life and clear the mission. That means we save an entire death screen of time, which is at least 8 seconds in most cases. Obviously, it takes a little bit of time to set up, and also if I miss it, it can be a little slow. I am going to go for it here as well. Why not? I'm going to try and show it off. Okay, that didn't work, because the other bullet was confusing me there. I thought it was going to hit the brown tank, and then it somehow hit me. That's okay. Right, we're going to go for it one more time, because I do still want to show it off. It's a little slow to go for in its own setup on Mission 3, but we'll try. Oh, we didn't get it. Okay, that's fine. We're just going to get through, because I am now on 1 life, and that's not very marathon safe. So, yeah, we'll just get through. We won't be doing any more of that, but basically that would save time. Theoretically. That's never been done in a RTA run at the moment, but I am hoping to change that, because I've been practicing for a few hours this week at trying to get that as consistent as I can. Thankfully, the rest of these missions up to Mission 5 aren't too complicated, so we should be fine, as long as I don't get any sort of random angles here. These teal tanks are really predictable with their angles. At the beginning of a mission, they will fire wherever they can, because basically their AI is, oh, I can see the tank, I will fire. But after that, they basically always turn to just auto-lock onto you. So the moment, or apart from tanks co-op, which we're going to see later on in 1P2C, where there is some even more weird stuff going on. But basically, because they just auto-lock to you, you don't have that happen outside of right at the beginning. So here, it will fire at me in a really random angle. So technically it would be faster if I just sort of went up as soon as the mission started there. But a lot of the time, just for safety, I will go down just to make sure that that bottom teal tank doesn't do any shenanigans. Which thankfully it didn't, but yeah.
And while you're going through these, can I read a couple things?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, up to Mission 20, it's the exact same game, so yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. So, of course, we are here supporting the Little Warriors. And, you know, earlier I didn't mention Little Warriors is a Canada-based charity, so all donations are in CAD, which means if you live somewhere else in the world, your donation, you know, may be more than what you would expect. So, for example, one Canadian dollar is about 73 cents US dollars. So if you're in the US, you only have to donate about $14.60 in order to donate 20 Canadian dollars. So you can donate even more to the charity and, you know, maybe if you're a little tighter on funds, not have to worry about that too much. And of course, we still have those incentives open. We did get a $2 donation from Cece saying, NA stays winning in Find Me. Thank you so much for that donation. And it goes towards not only our current target of getting that New Game Plus no out of bounds run for Sonic R, but also towards Robotech. There's a bid war where you can decide if our runner is going to play as Rick or as Roy. It does make slightly different like strategies, order of power-ups, things like that. So currently Roy is in the lead, but maybe we want to see Rick. You know, when you do type !donate now, make sure you press next and select those targets and polls as well.
Alright, fantastic. Yeah, definitely put your donations towards the targets. It is fantastic to get to show these off, and as we've already hit Tank's car, I'm sort of mentally preparing for that as well. But yeah, hopefully we'll be okay there. It can be, Tank's Carp can be really difficult, so it will literally just be a one attempt, which will become very clear why it's difficult the moment it starts, at least for consistency. But yeah, we will get there when we get there. For now, we're still in tanks. Something I haven't actually mentioned is that this game is 2.5 dimensional. Essentially what that means is the obstacles can be made as tall as Nintendo wanted them to be. So there is actually a tanks level editor. There's lots of fantastic tanks sort of modding tools for this game, which I was demonstrated to by Cindy, one of the mods for this game, and world record holder. I'm not sure if she still has world record in one of the all games categories, or former world record holder, but she's done so much of this game, including trying to research billions, which is just, I don't know how anyone wants to do that. But yeah, trying to find consistency in billions is, yeah, that's definitely something. But yeah, what we also have is these breakable walls. So because these walls are a little bit more built up, it does kind of obscure your view, so you do have to be very conscious of sort of the sound effects that mines being placed, especially with yellow tanks, because they can lay up to 4 mines at once. And other tanks can lay mines as well. This has been a really, really lucky mission 15, he says, as he doesn't take out the tank at the end. That is my fault. To be fair, it was still lucky. I just didn't get all of what I could out of it. We are still on 1 life, which isn't great. I really want to not be on 1 life. Let's just play this a little bit more safe to end on. So we're back to 2, thankfully. We'll stick to our normal strats, because that's just what I'm used to. So if I get out of the way here, what happens is the tank just sort of doesn't fire any more bullets. No, don't move the tank! Oh, no. So this is another thing that can happen. It's pretty rare, but basically what's happened now, and actually I might be able to use that to my advantage. Yeah, so because it got pushed so close to the wall, it actually just died to the mine. Now, that is not really a consistent thing you can use, but sometimes that happens. The green tanks don't move, but they can be moved. But yeah, changing up my strategy a little bit there compared to what I normally do, but still getting past. But yeah, we can blow up these stone walls. You can't blow up the wooden ones, but you can blow up the stone ones because, I mean, I don't know if that makes sense, but apparently the stone ones are a little bit less sturdy, so you can use mines to get through those. Those obstacles do respawn whenever you take a death, but you can use that to your advantage sometimes as well, especially on, say, one of the missions just now. That is I have never seen that tank do that. That is a horrible first shot. I've never seen it see an angle there. I'm surprised I managed to react to that quick enough. If I didn't, then we would have been back down to 1 life for some pretty difficult missions. Thankfully, we're not.
I was gonna say, luckily you reacted in time.
Yeah. The good thing with this game is that we don't have a limit of how fast we can turn the nozzle. It's just how fast you can turn the pointer, really, which is nice. So the tank actually kind of laid a mine there. It kind of just acts as an invisible wall for the other tanks. They just don't want to contend with the mine, even if it's their own. So we're just going to pretty much outmash all the tanks in this area and hopefully get through. I won't be... No! Oh, not again. I won't be taking any more shortcuts. In fact, I don't think I'm even going to take this shortcut this time. We're just going to go this way. Alright, I'm just going to stay a little quiet. Just to try and get us back up to 2 lives. I do see there's a bullet going across the bottom path there that I fired. So I don't want to contend with that.
Alright, I'm just going to take the second to remind you, we do have some different commands in chat. If you want to see a little bit more about our charity, you can type !info to just get a little blurb about what is Little Warriors, as well as the link to their website. We also have !donate, so you can get that link to the Tiltify campaign, and !rate, R-A-T-E, will give you a little bit more information about that exchange rate I was talking about earlier. And also, congrats!
That was the one I was scared about. The fact that I got to mission 20 with the 1 life, that's scary. I mean, I don't think I think I've only ever gamed over once on mission 20, which is kind of strange, because I've lost, oh no. Okay, I've lost lives on mission 20 before, but I've never gamed over there in sort of long runs, or for the longest time I didn't. Okay, so the interesting thing now is that these missions are all randomized. So we have 4 tanks on every mission, apart from mission 30. All of the multiples of 10 are completely predetermined still. However, there are some tank grades that we now know cannot come up. There is actually now a tanks lookup tool, thanks to Cindy. See, that's what I'm talking about, mine jump scare. I did not know that was there. I just sort of fired down that path and it was there. But yeah, basically all the tank grades or colours are randomised to some extent. For some reason, on like 4 specific mission numbers, there is a guaranteed brown tank. I don't know why, it just is. I mean, it makes the game a little bit easier, which is nice. But yeah, basically, the other thing I haven't mentioned, the tanks like that one there just didn't fire at me. That's because they don't want to do friendly fire. Because friendly fire on the enemy tanks would be kind of bad, and would make the game a little bit too easy for me. So they decided, no, what we're going to do is we're actually going to make it so the tanks don't fire when they're close together. That doesn't stop them from friendly firing sometimes. That red tank was getting a little too close. That doesn't stop them from friendly firing sometimes, but yeah, it can be interesting. So we do have 1 more coming up here. So this layout is predetermined. This is a brand new layout, which we're only seeing at this stage, but the tank grades are still randomized. So some of the multiples of 5, like 25, 35, 45, you do still see a new layout. But in terms of the ones that aren't multiples of 5 or 10, those have random layouts as well. I'm just going to fire some bullets along the bottom, just in case there's a bullet that I don't know of. And I'm just going to mash... There we go. Now we're back up to 2 lives. Right. Can we please stay on 2 lives?
You got this.
Thanks so much. I hope I do. We got 5 more missions to go, and then we have our platinum medal. And I would say we're back into safety, but we're not, because we have some other difficult games coming up. Now, the reason why I've really not enjoyed the curseness of this plat is because my magic number of lives is 3. I do not like being on less than 3 lives, because, or even just being on 3 at all, especially in late games, so like in a Tanks 100 run, I don't like being on less than about 5, because there are some levels that are just going to throw tank placements at you that are, because the tank placements are predetermined. that are terrible. Like mission 91 to 100, some layouts will literally just stick a teal tank or whatever, or even worse, there can be even harder tanks there, right in your face right at the beginning. So you have to fire right at the start, otherwise you are going to take death. For that reason, I just like to be on a specific amount of lives just for safety. In this run, I just like at least 3. And this is kind of the worrying thing about frame perfect deaths, because you want to be on 1 life going into mission 30, and then what's even more scary is technically, if you were to go for it on mission 30, you would have to die on the same frame, which would game over. And if you missed it, so if you died and didn't get the other tank, your run would be dead. You would lose the entire time you took to play that run of tanks. So really, it's more of a theory craft at the moment. It's not a serious thing. But also the fact that there aren't... Oh, okay, that was close. I didn't have any bullets left there. That's why I was worried. Yeah, it's kind of... The fact that you can only really consistently do it on static tanks, so like brown tanks, and technically green tanks, but because they fire rocket bullets at you and just turn around very quickly, brown tanks are the main kind of consistent ones you can do it for. We are out of tanks. What a relief. We did not have to we didn't have to redo it. So we now have 3 lives. We're going to burn all of those now. And then that is it. So that is the longest platinum in the game. Next, we're going to be moving on to table tennis, which is very, very scary. I am going to give it exactly 1 attempt. If I cannot get platinum first try, which is really, really fast, basically it's like a reaction time game. If I can't get it first try, I will pause buffer. I have never really pause buffered in any serious PB attempts because it's incredibly slow, but just to get us out. And here is an explanation of why score skip works, because you can't do score skip for the platinum because you can't get past 20 missions. So we end up with a little extra animation there. So now is table tennis. We have to do 100 first and then 200. This is an incredibly scary game. I'm going to hope we can do it well. It's very simple in 1 player. It's literally just the CPU fires left, middle, or right. We're hoping it just does a random chain of lots in a row. In fact, in my sub-hour world record, the CPU, for some unexplained reason, fired, I think, 14 to the left in a row, right at the end. And on the 200 attempt, you're going to see why I consider myself to be incredibly lucky. Because the last sort of 30 hits are really fast. Now, at the beginning here, I'm actually kind of playing close to the net. That saves a few frames every hit. Later on, we're not going to do that. We're going to be sitting back. If you go too far forward or too far back, then you will get a foul. So it is also important to be careful with that. When we get to the late stages, though, I will go a little quiet just so I can hear the tip-tap of the ball. Just to sort of... It just sort of helps me focus a little bit. So the game's speeding up quite a bit here. We're going to sit back. We're not going to do any pause buffering for the gold medal, but if I start to struggle on the platinum, then we will. So we get a little slowdown after 100 points. It doesn't exactly just keep on getting faster and faster, but it will get pretty difficult to deal with at 200. So that's the first one, and then it just phases through that, and that's our gold medal. We have to play it again, and then that's pretty much it for table tennis. So basically, this is where world record attempts have sort of been laid to rest in the past. Thankfully, it didn't happen in my current PB, because I probably would have cried. Because there was no way, like, that was just a one-of-a-kind run. I've never had, my find me, my second best find me loses 40 seconds to world record. I think my second, both tanks in that run are like second place. It's just an unexplainable, ridiculous run. I'm gonna be trying to beat it. I will probably try and go for like sub 59. Especially with the tanks frame perfect death stuff, but it's not going to happen for a really long time, because, yeah. Not to mention the fact that billiards makes runs really hard to get going, but also table tennis, I would quote my success rate here at about 40%, which is good that we have pause buffering. Pause buffering makes it so we can just kind of clear this, no problem. But yeah, funny kind of thing in the background, every 10 points up to a certain point, Mii's start appearing, so we just have more and more Mii's gathering from the system, just sort of watching me, and for some reason paying very close attention to the ball, which is quite funny when it gets really fast. So we're going to get to 100 here, and it's going to slow down a little bit, which is quite nice. And I'm going to get into a comfortable position. I'm laying the Wii Remote in kind of a position in my lap, so I only really need to twist it around rather than sort of pointing it a specific way, just because that helps to steady myself a little bit. I would say this is probably the game on a PB attempt where my heart rate gets the highest. I've actually considered setting up a heart rate monitor just for this game, because it's just that scary. Alright, this is where it starts to get a little fast. It slows at 150. Okay, very, very small slowdown, and then at about 170 it's going to pick up again. That's the point where I'm going to be pretty much just praying that it just gives me a lucky run of hits in the same place, which is not what it's doing right now. Alright, full silence from now.
So I'm amazed and...
Yes!
Yes! First try!
Okay, that makes up for all the billiards. Although pause buffering would have been cool to show off. Basically, if you want to see pause buffering, watch all achievements, or highest achievements, because there, we have to get 999 points. And I am not doing that without pause buffering. So, it has been done, and it would save like half an hour or something ridiculous in the speedrun. Not for me, not for me. No. But basically, yeah. What happens is you want to do a pause, and then you can kind of see the pointer. If you then press plus to unpause, which scarily enough, you actually have the cursor pointing at the start over button, so you want to be firmly away from the A button whenever you pause buffer. Basically there, you want to then just drag your cursor to the other side of the screen, and within a few frames of unpausing, it will then just teleport, which makes the game a little bit nicer. It loses a lot of time in a speedrun, but if you're just looking to get a run on the board, it is a completely valid way of doing it. Other people have done it before, and I've done it in the achievement runs.
So, I have to ask, this game, we're riding a cow to knock down dancing scarecrows?
Yes, so this game goes by very fast. In fact, it's pretty much over now, so I'll explain it now. Essentially, this is, and we already got platinum, this is a really nice one. So, essentially, there's a lot of stuff that the game doesn't really explain here. Basically, the game just says sort of tilt the remote forward and you go fast, and that's it. Basically, the whole time... No, we don't go again. Quit. Basically, it's kind of like playing a Mario Kart time trial, but with motion controls, and the only track is Moo Moo Meadows. That's the way I like to describe it. But there are ILs of that, because it has an in-game timer to centiseconds. So it's really, really cool, and there has been huge optimization, especially recently. One runner in particular, Theon, he has almost managed to get a 340, which has been considered a joke for years. But he's got a new route for 100%, which is basically what I just did. Getting all 300 Scarecrow points and then getting 40 seconds remaining. I only had 33 remaining there. So there is a route that is so good, and also the drifting involved. Like, there's a drifting mechanic that has its own specific sound effect, so we know it was intended by Nintendo. Yeah, there's so much to explain about Charge that I couldn't... the minute that it gives us. Watch the IL runs if you want to see anything that we're not really seeing here. And the same with tanks. Tanks, there's stuff we don't see as well. So this is laser hockey. This is pretty much an auto-scroller as long as we can clear it first try. Similar to fishing, we have a little timer. This time we can see it though. We have 2 minutes to get to 14 points. Now, the CPU is a little slow at the beginning, so we can kind of cheese it by just sort of... Oh, don't do that. We can kind of cheese it by... No, don't! Hold on 1 second. No! Oh, I ungoaled myself. Okay, it's fine. We can fire at the wall, and we can just kind of squeeze past. What we can do here, though, is... every hit basically increases the ball speed a little bit. Missed there, that's fine. Every own goal only costs a few seconds, but the good thing is the medal threshold doesn't increase. As long as you don't tie the game, because if you tie the game, as seen in bingo now, that actually would score you 0, so you wouldn't get any medal. Okay, we are only on 33 seconds. I can get goals in about 10 seconds here at the end. But it is pretty difficult. So I like to sort of lure the ball down and then fire at the wall. It's not quite going to work there because of the CPU hitting it differently. This is going to be really tight now. Going to just focus a little bit.
Oh, you're focused and we're all staring at this.
I'm going to restart. Oh. It's not possible now.
Well, you get to show off the really easy cheese at the beginning again.
Exactly. We have time for some donations now, because I'm going to have to retry this.
Okay, perfect. Well, first, I just want to remind everyone what we're here for. We are raising money for Little Warriors. Little Warriors is a national charitable organization focused on the awareness, prevention, and treatment of child sexual abuse. We also advocate on behalf of and with child sexual abuse survivors. For more information, you can visit littlewarriors.ca. You can also type !info in chat. And we did get a $7.20 Canadian dollar donation from SM MIDI, saying pretty good.
Tripping out here. I'm not sure what's going on there. I definitely
figure
haven't
someone donated in your name.
Cool, okay. Nice. I mean, I'll take it, I guess. Thank you. That definitely wasn't me, though. I mean, that would be quite impressive. I mean, considering around the time that was donated, that would be me donating in what? Table tennis? I mean... Yeah, that's not happening.
And I do want to say, with that donation, we're at $9.20 out of $15 to unlock that bonus Sonic R New Game Plus No Out of Bounds run. So we're getting close. We're more than halfway there, and we still have quite a few runs. We do also have that Robotech bid war. Currently, Roy is just killing it. Roy is at $9.20, while Rick is at 0. So any Rick lovers, whether maybe you just like Rick Astley, or maybe you want to see Rick for Robotech, if you want to get your donations in to get Rick chosen, make sure to get those in !donate.
Alright, we have 50 seconds for 1 point, which has been proven to not be free by myself in the past. Yeah, this is one of the most brutal games to get used to. And actually, 16:9 can be a valid choice for people to start off with. I originally started with runs on 16:9. Oh no. Because the field is much bigger, kind of makes this game a little bit easier. However, in tanks, it shrinks the playing field so much that you'd lose a few minutes in this run if I played on 16:9. There we go. So now I'm going to hit with the back of the paddle, and it is going to kill all the speeds, and that is the end of the game. Although, we don't really need to very much, because there's only 8 seconds left. There's no downtime now. In my world record, I had 30 seconds to just chill out and just breathe for a minute, which was honestly quite important. Didn't save me any time, but yeah, was very, very important. I've had runs where I've had 2 seconds left that have gone on to PB attempts and stuff, and it's just, yeah, Laser hockey is not a free game, and I can play laser hockey early, but the fact that there are so many other games that matter more for the time save just makes it so I have to put laser hockey 7th out of 9th, which is just, yeah, I really should play a little bit earlier. So anyway, this is Pose Me. This is a fairly long game, takes me about 10 minutes for platinum. Essentially, this is another game with an invisible timer, which I'll explain in a moment, but basically match the pose to the orientation that the game has given you. And you will notice that there's not really a set number of bubbles. Every time I pop a bubble and there's none left, the game says have another one. You can have more than one on the screen at once, which we are definitely going to see at one point. However, what the game has is an invisible 30-second timer. So every level has 30 seconds to spawn in bubbles. The moment that timer hits 0, the game stops spawning in bubbles, and then the level ends. You can get rainbow bubbles, which stop time for up to 10 seconds until there are no bubbles left, which also stops the invisible timer. But other than that, Pose Me is very fixed in terms of time. There is a Pose Me all levels category extension, but it is literally just kind of pop the bubbles as quickly as you can after the timer ends. There's really not much time to be saved there. But in terms of a medal run, we need 1,200 points here. So playing fast actually means you can technically skip levels. Now, this is the only time save I haven't implemented into my PBs. So the person I'm in big competition with at the moment is Murasaki. He's currently going for world record. He kind of stopped for a little bit when sub-hour was achieved, but he is going for it again. He is known for being cracked at basically every Wii Series game. I'm kind of a Wii Play one trick. He can do everything. So, yeah, shout out to Mura. But he has managed to get the early cycle in Pose Me. So basically, he plays so fast that he ends a level earlier than me, which saves about 30 seconds. If I could implement that, then that would probably be the gateway to sub 59. But I need a lot more Pose Me practice to get that good. And I'm playing fairly well here. So if I played to carry on this pace, I could get the early gold medal exit, which I have managed to achieve in Gold's world record. But again, I've only managed to achieve that once, and the fact that Mura can just knock out a free, early exit from Pose Me is just amazing, because I've never been able to do it. I think I need to just dedicate a few hours one day just to this game to figure it out. There are specific patterns though. So for this level, for example, there are only 2 poses. It does kind of randomize the poses, so we don't really know exactly which ones are going to come up. But for example, at the beginning, for levels 1 to 3, you will always have each pose once. And also, the best thing about Pose Me, you just have random PNGs in the background in a official Nintendo game. I don't know why.
Random duck.
Exactly. Good distraction, I guess. To the chaos that's going on. So these bubbles are actually the exact same poses that we saw in a level earlier. I'm falling a little bit behind here, but that's fine. Yeah, so as long as you're paying attention, you kind of know which poses are going to come up. I really need to make a specific guide for exactly the patterns that appear in Pose Me. Some of the later ones, I don't know exactly what happens. Some of the early ones are quite simple, though. Like, level 1, all the bubbles are pointing the same way with a slightly different variation, which is fine because the game kind of is a little bit lenient with locking you in. You don't have to be exactly on the bubble, that would be horrible. But after the 27th point, the game on level 1 flips to the other way round, so you kind of have to do a 180. But that's it. That's, like, the only obvious one. The rest you kind of have to be familiar with the game and play it a bunch of times to know what's going on, really. So this is one where you're kind of almost guaranteed to get rainbow bubbles. I did pop those really quickly, so it turns out we didn't. We did get one here, though. It spawned in really low, which isn't great. I like to pop the bubble really late, and I'm still going to pop the bubble. I'm not going to let it drop. If I let it drop, we're going to lose a life, and that means we don't get our perfect bonus. At the end of every level, we're getting a bonus of 5 times the level number. So this one is level 9. So we're going to get like 45 points. Which is very, very good. Yeah, 40 points, level 8. If you drop a life, you get 0. So it pretty much means you have to play an entire extra level, which, for me, already having to play an extra level against Mura is not great. Although, so far, it's not really happened in many good PB attempts, because once you've played the game enough times, it's fairly nice. The last few levels, where there are 16 levels in this game, you only really have to see like 12, 13 in a run. But you can get to the end and the game gets really, really fast. Which again is another thing in all achievements. There aren't actually achievements in this game, I do keep mentioning that. But the game kind of recognises some things in a different way, so like on Charge, we got that perfect screen. That technically counts as an achievement in all achievements, alongside all the medals as well. All achievements is 4.5 hours, which is why we're not seeing it today. But in that, it would mean we have to play all 16 post-me levels. And you can also kind of pause buffer to help yourself out. You're in a little bit of a pinch. So we're getting close. We do still need to play a few more to reach our 1200 target. And just to clarify, the estimate for this is 1.5 hours for this whole run. We are on an estimate of about 1 hour and 18. And shooting range, the final game, should be a first try. So we are pretty much going to be about 1.5 hours adding the estimate, which is nice. But yeah, here took a little bit too long there, so we're getting an extra rainbow bubble. The game just kind of throws you a bone and makes it a little bit nicer. Does mean the invisible timer paused for a few seconds there, but I will take that in a marathon run, to be honest. I've never gotten this far yet. I mean, this game can be very deceiving. When you learn the strats in the speedrun, it can make the game much easier. Find Me is the main one. I couldn't actually get past Silver until I started learning Hitbox Strat, which I kind of discovered on my own before I even joined. I was in the Wii Series community, kind of casually running Wii Sports Resort. One of my first messages in Wii Play was me mentioning Hitbox Strat, and it was kind of known, but it wasn't really implemented very well, and people said, yeah, it's kind of a thing that we don't really use. It's like, really? I'm kind of using this and it makes Find Me free. So, yeah, it is much more widely used now, though. That's not really applicable anymore. But yeah, stuff like tanks as well, knowing how tanks works, knowing that you can play on different aspect ratios to kind of test those out, see if it makes some games easier or harder for you, can be really nice. Some games like table tennis are literally just reaction time based, which makes sense if some people struggle with those a lot more. But again, stuff like pause buffering does mean technically people can do runs. This game is really accessible for that reason. And by the way, this is the level that Mura would have cleared on. I am not even getting a clear straight away on mission on level 14. That is just testament to how optimized Mura is opposed me. So like to me, I'm still not at the level I could be in these attempts really. But yeah, that's just because Mura's just too good. Technically a task could clear even earlier, because a task will just pop a bubble the moment it appears. But yeah, that is it. 1200 points and 1. Doesn't really matter too much. We are getting score skip because, again, our leaderboard is full with scores that are above that. And we finally have shooting range to end on. Yeah, the turning of the bubbles is really difficult. Getting used to that is tough. So we are ending on the first game. This is shooting range. It's basically duck hunt. And there's a few things going on. So we need 600 points here. And for a start, something that I only learnt when someone told me, not long ago, only a few months ago, if you shoot the balloons that are the same colour consecutively, you get 2 points for that balloon rather than 1. I genuinely didn't know that until I was like a year into running this game. But yeah, bit embarrassing, really. But yeah, that is something that exists. And also this target section, whoops, getting a penalty there, that's fine. There is actually a non-specific amount of targets that we're spawning. So I'm trying to go as fast as I can here. Actually dropping combos sometimes, because technically we will get more targets. That does mean in an all games run, where you literally just have to finish the game as fast as you can, you're just not hitting the targets most of the time. In the snake section, you are, where it's kind of snaking around, like in that sort of pattern. But where they are randomly spawning in like that, you don't want to, because it speeds it up. And that's why all games, in my opinion, is not the best category, because there are like 5 games where you just do nothing. The only games that matter are like billiards and charge and shooting range. Pose Me does have a tiny thing where you just like pop a bubble at the beginning to speed it up, but that's literally it. So here, again, a fairly auto-scrolly kind of section there. The only thing we can do is just make sure we're hitting the clay pigeons as fast as we can near the end. Nothing much we can really do to speed it up. Here I'm going to try and hit the foreground cans. It's going to save a little bit of time if I can. Not quite getting any there, but that's absolutely fine. We are on a fairly fast... yeah, it only saves like a second, if that, to get one of those. But yeah, we're on pace now. We need 600 points. The time is going to come up when the banner appears in the menu. So we're going to back out to the main menu. I'll give a few seconds warning when timing is coming up. So we have about 150 or so points we can get here if we play the whole UFO section. I believe it is faster to play UFOs than cans, so that's why I'm kind of risking it a little bit by saving this to the end. And we're getting all... That might not give me score skip, because I don't think I have a 654. No, I have 656, so we barely got it. Time is coming up in about 5 seconds. So we're going to see the banner in the menu, and that is time.
GG's.
All right, thanks so much. I'm not going to hang with that. We're going to get set up straight away for Tanks 1P2C, because that incentive did get met. Thankfully, we have finished comfortably underestimate. So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to do something a little bit controversial. I'm going to grab some rubber bands to make this a little bit easier for myself. Because playing tanks 2-player without rubber bands, it would just make it even harder. So what we're doing is, I just want to get into a decent position. This is what my Wii remotes look like, and this is an important aspect. Thanks for the GGs, everyone. Do appreciate that. This allows me to freely aim. So these are the pointers. Allows me to freely aim like that. Some people in other games, most notably Mario Galaxy, has a 2-player thing where you can sort of use that for some unintended like extra jumps and stuff. People use Velcro in that game. Here, because we're explicitly kind of using the pointer quite a lot, we kind of need free movement of the cursors like this. So it makes it a lot easier. I will give a small countdown. I don't know if we're going to restart the timer or anything for the Tanks 1P2C, so, but
really
I will...
quick, before you do the countdown,
yeah, that's fine.
We're expecting the estimate for this to be 10 minutes?
That's right, yes. I'm literally going to have one attempt, and that takes about 10 minutes. But it could be over a little quicker. Yeah, so... Hopefully, yeah, my PB in this is 9:26. So, yeah, estimate of 10 minutes, I would say, for this. Again, time doesn't start here. It starts when we press start over, because that saves time in most games. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so this is tanks. As you can see, there is no life counter. As if having 1 life remaining was hard enough, we now have no life counter. The thing with Tanks Co-op is you're basically both playing at the same time. You have set spawn locations, which alters the CPU tanks. That grey tank normally is at the top. It's actually in the middle now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move up with that one. I'm going to try and fire there. Going to try my best to get hits there, and then nice. So that was pretty good for 1P2C, but in terms of actually being optimal, it's really hard to sort of get any sort of world record attempt. These are valid on the leaderboard, by the way, and I do have some runs that are not last place, which is, I mean, something, I guess. But just getting a run of this took a few hours when I first started out, because it's just really unforgiving. Now, as you can see here, sometimes the tanks just don't fire, and that is because they are facing you, but they might not necessarily be targeting you. Sometimes they're targeting the red tank, but they're looking at the blue tank. So you kind of get a funny situation where you kind of get to fire at will, really, for free, without any punishment, especially on Mission 5. Mission 5 is sort of the best one for that. But yeah, here we got 5 bullets for each tank to use up here. No! Okay, right. That died within 1 minute and 40. Would we like another attempt? That is a question. Because that was bad. So, because of the life system, yeah, you get a game over the moment both die on the same mission. Yeah, would we like another attempt at that, or is that it?
Yes, we can do another attempt. We are cleared for a second attempt.
Cool. Okay, we'll go again. Right, so I will restart the timer. 3, 2, 1, go. And this is why I'm saying that all the miscellaneous categories are kind of a little bit unsafe. I still think they're cool to show off, but yeah. I mean, the good thing is I'm not tempted to submit kind of a Tanks Co-op 100 missions run, because the game ends at 20. Although, as proven by Cindy showing me the kind of the game files recently, which kind of was me sort of like getting sort of like Christmas Day opening my new toys, with finding all the Tanks modding stuff. There are all 30 layouts that appear in 1 player in 2 player. They are in the game files, and we know that because there is a placement for the player 2 tank. But they just don't use it. I don't know why, but okay, this is not good again. Yeah, they just don't use it, which is a shame. It would have been really cool to at least have the option to play for that long. Whether it would have been a good idea, I don't know, because like having no lives for a 100 mission run would just be unreal. And now we're getting our thing that I mentioned of the tank's just not, even though it's looking at it, which is the only consolation of this run, really, to make it a little easier for 1P2C. Yeah, exactly. This is the first attempt. I don't know what you're talking about. there was no other attempt. Oh, no. Okay, right. So, the thing with this is that there is a respawn system. As you can see before, even though I died, as long as one... just being really annoying. Both tanks are defensive here, so... there we go. Okay, we're out. And the grey tank doesn't fire too often, so we should be okay. As long as I can actually hit it. There we go. Yeah, so as long as one tank survives, it is respawning on the next mission, which is technically more generous than normal. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm actually just going to chill in the corner. Okay. Because, okay, now I don't have to worry about the red tank. The red tank is gone. I can't do anything with that one, which is a little risky doing it this way. This is still not that fast, because I still have to sort of make sure that I live with this one. But at the same time, it does mean I don't have to focus on both at the same time. The only issue with this is that it pretty much guarantees that the tank is going to target the blue one, because the red one is not there to target. Okay, now we're on to Mission 8. These have yellow tanks. So the good thing with this one is I can kind of sit in the corner. They will sometimes come over to me, but I'm going to try my best to sort of sit away, and it pretty much gives me a second life, essentially. So that's the first one gone. I would like to at least get some of the interesting missions showed off here. Not necessarily a full completion. Full completion is really hard. I've only ever managed to complete this fully once on a marathon run, but I have managed to at least show off the bulk of the interesting missions, which is what I want to do. Okay, I'm conscious of that bullet. Okay. Nice. That was a lucky hit. That rebounded for eternity there, and it still hit. The teal tanks just don't retarget very often. They see a bullet and they just sort of stay on their own path, really. Okay, so we'll fire there, get a few hits, defend myself as well, which is nice. Good to get that. Still death there, that's okay. And we'll sort of fire at the wall just for a little bit of safety. We're coming up to mission 10. Okay, so here I want to sort of aim specifically at the individual tanks that we are seeing on the path. That one's dead. Okay, I don't actually know how that one went, but that's okay. See, now I have the issue of my own bullets coming towards me. Which is why I kind of want to fire at walls sometimes rather than down a really long path, because it takes ages to get the bullet back. Excellent. Nice rebound there. Okay. Mission 11. So this is another really nice one. I'm going to move the blue one first, although it's technically faster to do the red. The blue one could technically have a mine laid on it, although actually there are no tanks on this layout that can lay mines, apart from me. If a tank laid a mine here, that would instantly detonate and hit me from behind the wall, which is a mines-only strategy again. Again, another thing we're not going to see, but I am kind of sort of experimenting with mines only. So if you want to see even more silly tanks runs, then look out for mines only soon. So we've got that Wii Remote pop up, that's fine. I'm just going to go around this way. There we go, excellent. And the green tank didn't even fire there because the red was kind of in the way, and it wasn't even really facing me. I think it might have even been targeting the red there. Okay, so this is another fairly difficult one. The yellow is pretty fast. Often will just go straight towards me at the beginning. Managed to get a bit of action with the player 2 tank there, but not too much. Excellent. Okay. So that acting as a little bit of an invisible wall as well, which is really good. Nice. Okay. Mission 14. What is this one? Okay, so this one, for some unknown reason, they added in an extra tank just to make this even harder. I have no idea why they did. It might even be the fact that there are 84 tanks in 20 missions, so it might be sort of a tiebreaker kind of thing. But theoretically, you can have like tanks that end up like self-destructing or like stuff like that, where basically it's like a friendly fire from the enemy tanks, and then you would still end up with a tie anyway. Oh, I was really hoping that didn't happen. Okay, so the red one is not great here. The blue was in a really good position to just deal with the rest. So I'm going to try and take out the red from behind the wall. Not going to happen. So the issue with 4 to 3 is that these gaps at the bottom, and I guess in 16 to 9 as well, these are really unforgiving. You can get here on mission 14. You can just happily come through the bottom path, which is not what I do regularly in the speedrun in one player, and you will get destroyed. There's a green there still. Okay, right. Hold on. Right. I forgot. There's literally a tank counter there. That might have been pushed forward because that's not normally there, which is kind of a good thing. It means I can just lay a mine and get the hit. Excellent. We're through. Very, very slow, but we're out. Okay. Mission 15. Yeah, that is one of the harder ones. I'm glad I got to show that off. That's kind of the main one I want to show off. There are more, but getting a mission 15 on command in this is kind of difficult. Okay, that is rebounding into me. Okay, we'll fire at the wall. We'll do a little spray shot. So the spray shot is kind of where I'm firing each bullet at a slightly different angle just to kind of rain down bullets into kind of a trap for the purple tank there. Okay, so here, I'm going to fire straight at that tank. I'm then also going to fire straight at this one. Excellent, we got both. That is a really, really difficult start. That purple tank is not normally there. Really, really harsh placements on this map. I'm going to try and push it a little bit just because these are in... yeah, the mine was there. I just wanted to try and risk it because I had life to spare. Okay, mission 17, another really, really brutal one. We're going to just fire. Hope we survive with both. Excellent, we did. Yeah, placements have changed here again, so you have to one-on-one 2 green tanks right at the beginning. So here I'm actually going to start with the one from the top, just to sort of switch it up a little bit. Does mean we have to do slightly different angles to get through. That is targeting the blue. That is mean. Go away. That is not even going for you. No, that's not allowed. Okay, we're through that. Okay, excellent. And that's another one.
Just
okay.
want to make sure you show off as much as you can.
Exactly. Okay, now we're going to try and fire some bullets at the beginning. Okay, that's fine. This is just going to be a 1 life attempt. But yeah, again, mentioning earlier that I prefer to be on 3 lives in tanks, this is why I find this really stressful. Where did that come from? Oh, no, there was a green tank in the middle. Okay, that's fine. We got mission 18. Mission 18 is really, really good. So there's a green tank in the middle there, and I couldn't even see the bullet until I saw the, like, brief rocket kind of animation there. But 18 is great for a marathon.
Well,
yeah, pretty
any
much.
shout-outs you want to do?
Okay, yes, excellent, yeah. Yeah, 18 is pretty much like the main sort of, all the interesting stuff is before there, really. All the rest is the same. But yeah, quick shout-outs before we go into intermission. I want to shout out Wii Series Discord. If you want to learn any of the 13 games, then definitely go and check that out. There's even a resources tab now. I'm working on guides. It is very, very long. It's like 20 plus pages, so I need to thin that out a little bit before I can release it, because yeah, not all of those are needed, I think. But yeah, lots of stuff to get into the games. Wii Sports Resort, any of the games, all sorts of strats involved in lots of them. Even Wii Chess has a channel in the in the Discord if you fancy a 10-second speedrun. And then yeah, pretty much shout out to my community on Twitch. We do run sometimes. Lots of Wii play recently. I've been doing a lot with this. We actually have bounties on the final 4 world records that stand that have not been beaten in 2023. That is Tanks Co-op, 5, 10 and 20 missions. All 3 of those are 4 of the ones that stand, and all achievements, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to be the only one that attempts that, but that's okay. I'm going to hopefully take that up by the end of the year. That's pretty much it. We'll head to intermission. I've got another run coming up, so stay tuned. And yeah, thanks for the GGs. Thanks for watching, and stick around.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mitty. That was such a fun run. I mean, like, it's just mini game after mini game, and I was just mesmerized the whole time. I don't know about you, chat, but we still have lots of marathon left to go. We have a whole day's worth of fun games and fun incentives to come. If you want to type that exclamation mark donate in chat.